Hello everybody, my name is Young White and today welcome to a new video. So I saw this thing going around about people discussing their favorite monsters and I thought to myself, why don't I join in? Now kudos to original creator, his logo is on the bottom left hand corner of the form. I don't really know who they are, but if someone would like to tell me, please do, so I can actually credit them properly. This version is also the disease version, as some of you may have noticed, with the fix what's your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh monster. If you want to find a template for this, you can either find it from the original creators page or the Zeef's page, which has the fixed grammar spelling. So Yu-Gi-Oh is something I loved for a very long time, and I played it back during Kui format, and then took a long break from it and came back, I think during when Orcus was still abusing Rusty. So the format right after Summon Sorceress got banned. That format. So generally with this list, you can see that older players generally put older monsters as favorite monsters, and the newer players normally put newer monsters in this list. And what I found was that there was a clear divide between the two periods that I play, where I used monsters from the Kui format as well as monsters and newer monsters as well. Obviously, with some monsters there are exceptions because I don't really know them well. Specifically, Toon Spirit and Gemini, I really don't know any monsters from that archetype, so my explanations will not be good. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to go from left to right, up and down. So I'm going to talk about my opinions on that summoning mechanic and then why that monster is my favorite. So let's begin with Lynx. This is honestly very interesting. Lynx were very controversial in the fact that they changed the way Yu-Gi-Oh worked as fundamentally. So as someone who returned to Yu-Gi-Oh, I honestly despise Lynx. Like, I hated Lynx. They killed most of my decks, albeit they were Yu-Gi-Ohs, but they still killed them, and I really despised them. That was until recently. Now, it wasn't because I picked up a Link deck, but because I just really appreciated how much Lynx has slowed the format. Now say what you want, but Lynx really did help make Yu-Gi-Oh less chaotic than it would have been, you know. Like, it allowed for Trishula to be at 3. Trish loops were very hard to do, and thank God they were, because imagine coming back with Trish loops again. Oh, that would be painful. And sure, Lynx did have a couple problems first, you know, Firewall FTK and U-boarding people, but by the end of it, Lynx were actually really cool, and they were honestly one of my favorites summoning mechanics from the extra deck. And I honestly really sad to see them being honestly quite useless in MR5. Not saying that they won't be played, I'm just saying that some Lynx will practically be useless. I'm looking at you, Lanthorhynchus. So, yeah. Anyway, my favorite Link is Borrowsword Dragon. Now, this is an OTK enabler. It is a Link 4. It is a big beater. What is there not to love about Borrowsword? Also has a funny effect, probably one of the funniest protection effects, which is to flip something to defense, to change something to defense position, which I honestly find quite hilarious. So that is why Borrowsword Dragon is my favorite Link monster. Pendulums. Where do I go from pendulums? I honestly don't hate pendulums as much as other people think. Yes, I did dodge Pepe format, so that's probably why I don't really hate pendulums. But I also fought them during Kui format. I'm not saying Kui's abused pendulum because they mostly did towers sit, but pendulums was something I feel like gets way too much hate, especially now still. Like, people still hate pendulums, and they're honestly not as broken as they were. They can't abuse the whole, oh, I can just special summon back cards from the extra deck mechanic, but it's honestly really a shame that pendulum gets so much hate because I feel like they don't really deserve it anymore. Anyway, speaking of which, my favorite pendulum monster comes from an archetype which I play because I think they're the most useless pendulum deck I've ever seen. And honestly, the most lazily designed ones gameplay-wise, and that is Ignites. And if you guys don't know Ignites, practically there's like 10 cards in the archetype, and like 8 of them are literally the same effect. Like, it's not even a joke. But despite that, they are a consistent archetype that is great. I just find them funny because they are honestly super useless. So my favorite Ignite is the coolest looking of them all, which is Ignite Margrave. he does what other Ignites do, it's not really surprising. So there you go. Xyz. Where do I even start with Xyz summoning? This is my favorite summoning mechanic of the extra deck. It is what I got into Yu-Gi-Oh! For, and it's an extra deck mechanic that I fundamentally understand. There are a great amount of decks that use Xyz, and Xyz has always been, for me, just really important. Most of the decks I play are Xyz decks. So in order to pick one, it was really hard, but honestly, once you guys hear this, it wouldn't be very surprising, especially because Borrelsword is my favorite link, and that would be Dark Xyz Rebellion Dragon. Oh, Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon. Oh, nice. That really shows you how much I played this card. This card, only job is to beat over things, and I absolutely love that. When I was younger, a casual player, if I never had a problem card, Dark Xyz would always beat over it. It was a problem to almost anything, and obviously it's not going to be played now because there are better rank 4s out there, like Dweller, Honorak, Castel. I feel like Honorak Castel is still not played as much, but you get my point. Is the fact that Dark Xyz Rebellion Dragon is something that, yeah, now that you see my favorite Xyz being Dark Xyz, the Borrelsword makes more sense. It's just a big beater. It beats over things. It was honestly my boss monster when I started playing. So yeah, Synchros. Now, unlike a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh people right there, I don't actually love Synchros. I don't think Synchros are the best summoning mechanic, and it's not because I don't like Synchros. It's just because it's just a bit too complicated. The whole leveling things and doing different levels, adding them together, it's a bit too complicated for me, and I honestly don't really like that fundamentally. But Synchros I still see as a really cool and fun archetype, and it's something I still want to pick up. I'm not saying it's going to be like the best archetype is going to absolutely blow the wind with Xyz, because Xyz always holds that part of my heart, but Synchros are really cool. And my favorite Synchro is Power Tool Dragon. In saying that I would pick up a Synchro deck, I did like experiment with a Morphtronic deck, and it was not a good Morphtronic deck, as you know, the best, not the best Morphtronic decks ran Power Tool Dragon as their boss monster, but I did because I was like, yeah, this is pretty fun, and I really like Power Tool. I'm not saying he's broken, but like his equip spells effect and using stat is just really, really fun, and I just really like the fact that how oppressive Power Tool is if the game's slow enough for him to have like 5 equip spells attached to him. So yeah. Next is Fusion. Fusion is in a really interesting spot because it's kind of like the extra deck archetype that doesn't necessarily follow its rules. I know that's not right, but Fusion has like 3 spells, that two fundamental spells that really just cheats them out. There is Instant Fusion, which is just a busted card in itself, and Super Poly, which just uses your opponent's resources. And to choose a favorite for Fusion, because it's like, do I want to choose like the Fusion monster that's like you legitimately take out using, you know, cards like Poly and like an actual Fusion card, or do I want to choose a Fusion monster that I can just easily take out the extra deck like Instant Fusion and Super Poly? However, thinking about this, like for a while, I thought to myself, Invoked Elysium is my favorite Fusion monster. Now, Invoked was actually the deck that brought me back into, you know, playing modern Yu-Gi-Oh, considering links, stuff like that. Like, it's not the deck that really, like, wanted me to bring back, but it was the deck that made me accept links, and Invoked Elysium is my favorite Invoked card. Yes, it is not the best, that's still Mechaba, but Invoked Elysium is just, for me, something really funny, because its oppression is that it banishes things to banish the attribute, and if it all goes wrong, you just banish itself and just banishes all your opponent's, you know, monsters. And I really, really like that concept. So, rituals. I haven't really dabbled into rituals that much. I've only played one ritual deck, and it was Necroz, and that's because my friend really wanted me to try it out. But in saying that, my favorite Necroz is Necroz Brionac, and that's because his art looks cool. That's literally the only reason why he's my favorite Necroz. Normal monsters. Now, a lot of people who know me know that I play Super Quants, and that generally uses, you know, Brilliant Fusion to summon out Garnet. So a lot of people to summon out Seraphonite. So a lot of people expect me to say my favorite normal monster is Seraphonite, but honestly, normal monsters are quite boring, to say the least. But so the only thing that drives me for normal monsters is flavor text. And for those of you who don't know, my favorite flavor text is actually from Mekk-Knight Avaram. Yes, the check this out is just so good that how can it not be my favorite normal monster? I literally have a collection of Mekk-Knight Avarams because I just love this card so much. Gemini. Now, I said this before, Gemini is one of those archetypes, one of those things that I don't really have a fond memory of at all because they're kind of useless. So I'm just going to go with Elemental Hero Neos Alias because it's the only Gemini monster that I recognize. And also the fact that it reminds me of the days when my friend used to play Hero deck and this was in it. I don't know why it was in it, but it was. So that's where it comes from. Effect monster. Now this is a hard one. There are a lot of good effects monsters out there and there's a lot of funny ones as well. But if I had to choose one, it would have to be Raidraptor Fuzzy Lanius. Now, the reason why is simply because of his Sent to Grave effect. If this card is sent to the graveyard, it adds itself back to hand. I find that absolutely hilarious. It is my favorite Raidraptor, and it's probably my favorite effect monster because it just, you take it out of your hand, oh, I'll just add it back. Haha. So that's literally why I chose Raidraptor Fuzzy Lanius. So now we have Chun. Like I say, I don't really know much about Chun monsters, so I just chose one that really appealed to me by the art, and that is Toon Barrel Dragon. Yes, its effect is also funny, so that's a plus, but I really like this card just because of its art, and it's a shame that Tunes aren't really more prominent. I know Toon Case is coming out soon, but I don't think they'll become meta relevant. But like, wouldn't it be funny to have a meta deck that's like a meta format that's Tunes? Like that would be absolutely hilarious. Spirit. I'll be honest, I don't know. Like, I know I said I don't know anything about Gemini and Tunes, but at least I get their gimmick. But Spirits, I literally read some of the effects, and I still don't know. What's the difference between a Spirit monster and Effect monster? Like, what is the difference? Like, can someone please tell me? Because I seriously don't know. And this is going to be really bad, but my favorite Spirit monster is going to be Amano Iwato. And that's because it was used in Duskwall at FTK. Like that's literally it. That's the only reason why it's my favorite Spirit, because I just recognize it. It's the only one I recognize, and that's because it was used in Duskwall at FTK. And Duskwall FTK is amazing, and that's the only FTK deck you should all play. And that's it. I'm sorry if I can't really put anything Spirit monsters. It's just I'm so confused about this archetype. What is Spirit monsters? Like, can someone explain? Anyway, moving on. Union monsters. Now, unlike a lot of the other ones, I actually have some familiarity with Union monsters, and that's because I played a bad Giga deck, like a casual one. So in the Giga structure deck, there were some Union monsters there, and my favorite has to be Oil Man. And like, how can it not? Look at that name and look at the art. Like, it's funny. It's Oil Man, and if you destroy a monster, you get to draw a card, which is okay, I guess. But look how funny Oil Man is. Like, he just looks like he's going to have a good time, and he's just funny. Okay. Flip monsters. Now, for those people who actually do know me, this should be really obvious, but I'm just going to preface this now. Is like, trust me, you understand why it won't be on this list until later. So, my favorite flip monster is Reversible Beetle. Yes, the meme, the legend, the lad himself, Reversible Beetle. Now, the only reason why I have fond memories of this was because of the sneak peek of Rising Rampage, and this monster was the go-to. This was your removal. This was, like, everything. Like, having 3 of these in your deck, you were, like, 99% guaranteed to have, like, some of the top spots. I only had 2, so that was a bit of a shame. But this guy was so fun and so genius, and I wish I could find a deck that could run him, because that would be absolutely amazing. Tuners. Now, I had 2 directions to go tuners. It was either the hand traps or, the actual tuners themselves. But the thing is, I don't really play synchro decks, so I'm just going to go to hand trap route and choose Best Girl, Ghost Reaper, Ghost Ogre, and Snow Rabbit. Please don't send me to jail. But yes, Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit is the first hand trap that I've actually, like, I wouldn't say own, but actually borrowed and used, and I honestly love it. I also love her art. She is not feet bait like Ash, and unlike the other Ghost girls, she's actually quite decent looking. And Ghost Ogre is just, I just love her effect, and also the fact that it can be used on field is pretty cool too. And that is why Ghost Ogre is my favorite tuner. So overall favorite. Now, for those of you who didn't get my flip monster hint, well, that's a shame. But this monster has always been with me, and it used to be a rule that I would always incorporate one of it in my decks until I took Yu-Gi-Oh seriously and stopped doing that. And that is Maneater Bug. Yes! Target one monster on the field, destroy that target. Busted! Yes, it is my favorite card. It has been with every single deck I built, and even if it has no synergy, it is fun, it is cool, and it always blows people's mind when I flip this during a tournament. And that is pretty much it. These are all my favorite monsters, and I would like to say thank you for watching. This is probably a mess of a video, to be honest, because I just rambled on and I probably have to cut a bit of it out. But I thank you guys for watching. If you haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh yet, please consider trying out Yu-Gi-Oh. I recommend picking up like one archetype and just honing on that archetype until you understand it, and maybe have a friend with you so that you can learn together. These are my favorite monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh. I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.